What's going on, everybody? My name is Justin Godsey for Justin Godsey TV. Thank you so much for checking out tonight's video. Tonight, guys, I'm here discussing the 2014 version of WWE Hell in a Cell. It's just got done. I know I'm a little bit late, way late about this video. It's about 12:30 a.m. if you're viewing this. This is my time here on the West Coast. I live in Arizona, so I was actually kind of busy today watching my San Francisco Giants defeat the Kansas City Royals in Game 5 of the World Series. We're going on to Game 6 in Kansas City, Game 6 and 7. And we're bound to get, ladies and gentlemen, only one more day until the Giants win the series. So, fan aside, let's get right into professional wrestling. This year's WWE Hell in a Cell was actually pretty good. I was actually really into it. Me personally, on a very personal level, I am not a fan of John Cena. I did have some complaints in some of the matches, but this was an overall very good event. I don't have a lot negatively anything to say. I think the WWE just continues to hand over John Cena these victories in that Hell in a Cell match against Randy Orton. They say that John Cena and Randy Orton kind of stole the show tonight. I'm like, I don't think so. I think the Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, if you look at the two Hell in a Cell matches, you would obviously want to go with the Rollins and you want to go with the Dean Ambrose Hell in a Cell match. You don't want to go with John Cena and Randy Orton because we've seen a lot of their pops. We know each other. We know their move style. We know what we were expected to see, and it was just pretty much a dead giveaway. John Cena is not going to end up departing from his, so-called, furious anger in his road to facing Brock Lesnar. The WWE is not just going to automatically give it to Randy Orton. They're obviously going to keep it with the company, the X Factor. They call him the professional wrestling John Cena. He is nothing. I'm a big fan of Bruce Blitz's videos, and he calls him the shit factor professional wrestling. That's exactly what he is. I'm not trying to bash any John Cena, but professional wrestling is something that we have to be logical about. We got to be truthful to you guys. And John Cena he doesn't have a lot of good ring skills and everything. I think that's the biggest thing I have to take away from this pay-per-view. I think a lot of people look at John Cena as, oh, he's the greatest of all time. He's the best of all time. Michael Cole, this guy was just an idiot on commentary. He's just trying to relive the King of the Ring 1998 when The Undertaker threw Mankind off the Hell in a Cell, and you heard that during, the Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose stuff. I'm trying to get all the negative stuff out of the way before we get into the most positive stuff. But you know what? The commentary was just not great tonight. I have to say that because it kind of goes from, JBL being this heel commentator to Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler being like, oh boy, geez, he's looking for the curb stomp. Oh, it just annoys me. The TV PG era has killed professional wrestling, or the WWE in that matter. Those are just, the stuff that bothers me. Sometimes I have to mute my television in order to get a great quality matchup. I can't listen to, JBL, Michael Cole, and Jerry Lawler at ringside, continuously talk. So, minus that stuff, the WWE Hell in a Cell pay-per-view was great. I liked it. I was into it, like I said, minus the John Cena victory over Randy Orton, but we all knew it was going to happen. We all know what's going to happen before the event even starts. Everybody should have that actual thought in their head that we all know what the WWE and what direction the WWE is going to be going in, once before John Cena even steps into the ring. So, John Cena defeated Randy Orton tonight. We had a dark match tonight, which was on the Kickoff show tonight. I was actually not watching it because I was watching the World Series. We had Mark Henry versus Bo Washington. Bo Washington. No, Bo Washington. No, that's just not gonna. No, that does not really. Where's Bo Dallas? I know he's in Washington. They're in Dallas, Bo Dallas, and Dallas, Texas. I guess he wanted to switch things around and go with Bo Washington. So that's a start there. The actual pay-per-view kicked off with an excellent, 2 out of 3 falls matchup. We got Dolph Ziggler, the champion, taking on Cesaro, the Intercontinental Champion, Dolph Ziggler. This was a very interesting matchup. A lot of people are saying that this is the match of the year. It's still, not close to being the match of the year. It's probably, up there in the top 10. There was a lot of great high spots, but Dolph Ziggler has been, on a big, turnaround in professional wrestling since going back down to the mid-card following that John Cena, main event stats, and also he just drops down to the the minor card, the undercard. So, Dolph Ziggler was able to pull out a big victory here. Cesaro, the WWE was expecting something big from Cesaro, in the future and everything. Cesaro he got a clean sweep tonight. You know, Dolph Ziggler clean sweep Cesaro in the 2 out of 3 falls matchup. You know, the WWE has been wrongfully doing, you know, bad to Cesaro right now. He's an excellent in-ring worker. I love watching his matches. And for him just to keep on dropping title match after title match after title match after title match after title match, it's getting very, very sick and, you know, in a little bit, you know, bland. Because we all know that the WWE does not want to put a title on Cesaro right now. I don't know what they're waiting for, but it should happen sooner rather than later. Next up, we saw Nikki Bella and Brie Bella go at each other. You know, the loser of the matchup would have to be the servant for 30 days. And, you know, Nikki Bella won this. I was really expecting Brie to do it because she has not been getting the upper hand as of late. Nikki trying to, you know, interrupt her matches. You know, you can see her backstage getting all mad every time Brie won a match. You know, everything was just, you know, this is a storyline which it seems kind of interesting. But, you know, we will always remember them as the Bella twins. You know, this rivalry seems pretty interesting to me. I kind of enjoy it because I really do, you know, personal look wise, obviously Nikki and Brie Bella have the looks, but you know, you gotta look into their in-ring you know, wrestling. And you know, Brie Bella always has this thing with like screaming in the ring, whether she's going, you know, doing a suplex, she goes, ah, you know, Brie mode, Dallas, Texas. I mean, that's exactly what we heard tonight. It was just annoying. I mean, I think she really needs to calm it down into the ring and really just focus on the wrestling rather than screaming, Dallas, Texas! Oh, Brie mode! I mean, we all get that. You know, I laugh at your theme song all the time, but you know what? I do give you the credit where credit is due, being a beautiful woman. But you know, Nikki Bella ended up winning up this matchup after doing her kind of in one of these, like, you know, she's flipped over on her back, you know, facing up like this, and then she just does the knees and just drops her, kind of like a you know, doing, you know, weights and everything like that. And that's her finisher move. But there's a segment near the end of the show which saw Nikki Bella looking for a smoothie, and she dumps the smoothie all over Brie Bella. So there should be a nice little storyline, you know, coasting, you know, down the line this week, going into the next few weeks as this 30-day little, you know, segment between Nikki and Bella will go on. Next up, we got an interesting tag team match between Gold and Stardust and the Usos. Gold and Stardust defeated the Usos. A really interesting matchup. I kind of liked it. There was a couple of high spots in the matchup. I think the ending was a little bit bland. There were a couple of botches in the matchups, but you know, the ending was a little bit bland. You know, it was kind of a kick to the back of the leg, barely a kick to the back of the leg, and then Jimmy Uso falls like this, and then I like Goldust's finisher. I don't know exactly what it was called, but it was a very interesting finisher. And that's how they do it. It was kind of like a weird, awkward ending to the matchup, but nonetheless, Gold and Stardust remained the tag team champions. Next up, like I said, we got the John Cena, Randy Orton Hell in a Cell match. John Cena, obviously, they're not going to cut the storyline with him and Brock Lesnar. We're going to end up seeing this happen sooner rather than later. You know, I hate having a non-WWE champion on the roster. I think it was a wrong idea to put the champion on Brock Lesnar unless he's willing to commit to a full schedule and to have this being a defending champion. John Cena ends up defeating Randy Orton. You know, there's no doubt about this. I'm just sick and tired of seeing John Cena wrestle the same people. I'm sick and tired of John Cena winning every single match. He gets his ass kicked in. It just gets super annoying. You know, as a John Cena, you know, non-fan here, you know, I just, you know, cannot stand, you know, the WWE, you know, continuing to push this guy. And every time that he's not getting put into championship matches, he just cannot win the big one. So, pretty interesting down the road to see, you know, what the WWE wants to do with John Cena and Brock Lesnar. But where does Randy Orton go from here? That's the biggest question. Where does Randy Orton go from here? There's not going to be a rivalry between him and Bray Wyatt. I know people have brought that up. Bray Wyatt actually returned. We'll get to that here in a second. But you know, there's a pretty interesting, you know, rivalry going down, you know, down the line. Maybe we can end up seeing Randy Orton and Seth Rollins, because we're obviously not going to end up seeing. We're obviously going to end up seeing Dean Ambrose and Bray Wyatt now. So we're probably going to end up seeing a little bit of a breakthrough between Seth Rollins and Randy Orton, so maybe we can end up seeing a rivalry down the line for them. What's next? Sheamus versus The Miz. I didn't really care for this matchup a whole lot. Sheamus was not. It was more of a dominating match. You know, Sheamus really dominating. You know, Damien Mizdow. Everybody's getting a huge kick out of Damien Mizdow. I think it's pretty interesting. It's a pretty interesting character. Do I think it's going to go down, you know, for the next year or so? I don't think so. I think it's going to end up, you know, climaxing probably to start off the new year, because I think Damien Sandow, excellent in-ring worker. I think a lot of people, you know, really look at his character in you know, trying trying to bash him because of his character more than his in-ring skills. So I think that he's an excellent in-ring worker. I would like to see the Miz versus Miz Dow. So maybe that could be something that could be drawn up around Royal Rumble time. Sheamus ends up defeating The Miz to remain the United States Championship. Rusev and Lana, Rusev with Lana defeated The Big Show with Mark Henry. Mark Henry actually came down to the ring a little bit later in the matchup. This was a match where I was kind of like not really looking forward to watching, because when you really look into this, there has not been a lot of legit two big guys wrestling each other. There hasn't been those solid matches where you see the Big Show. We've seen Big Show versus Mark Henry before, and those matches are just dull. You see the Great Khali versus the Big Show, but those matches are really dull. And I thought this match was a little bit good in the step in the right direction here. I would like to see this continuing to rise. I think that they got a good storyline in place. The Battle of the Flags. The United States versus Russia. So I would like to see this continue to go down. Rusev. Big Show did not tap. He put him in the camel clutch. And, Rusev, Big Show went unconscious. And, Rusev got the, submission victory over the Big Show. And it's going to be, a continuous rivalry. I would like to see this rivalry go to WrestleMania time. I think a lot of people would think, that's a little bit too long for a rivalry between, for the undercard for Rusev and the Big Show. But, it could be a legitimate chance for, Rusev really break out there before they start heating him up and for the spring. I don't want him to be, thrown into John Cena. I would like to see Rusev, used right. He's a legit talent. So, the Big Show is that right guy to do it. The two big guys in the company. Next up, we got AJ Lee, versus Paige with Alicia Fox. And the ending, kind of like, the ending with the Usos and Stardust, in the Goldust and Stardust match. It was kind of a little bit of a premature ending, because this was actually a really good match. It actually went out into the crowd, and, there was a lot of high spots in the match. Paige ended up getting tripped on the guardrail, and she fallen, back onto the mat. There were some really good high spots. Ended with an AJ Lee doing that widow's peak, I think is what she calls it, that widow's submission with Paige. She kind of tapped within 2 seconds of it. So, a little bit of a premature, ending to the matchup via submission, and then Paige ended up pushing Alicia Fox. So we can probably end up seeing a legitimate triple threat match at the next pay-per-view at Survivor Series. So that could be something you guys could look out for. And to wrap up this review, we got Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose, and I was really looking forward to this match. I'm gonna take my hat off real quick. I was really looking forward to this matchup. Everybody was. I thought this was an excellent matchup. There was a lot of high spots into it. Dean Ambrose was kind of copying off King of the Ring 1998, where Mick Foley wanted to start the matchup at the top of the cell, and so did, Dean Ambrose. So Dean Ambrose climbed, the newly restructured Hell in a Cell that was first featured in 2006 at the Unforgiven pay-per-view between the McMahons, Big Show and Big Show and DX versus them. So this was a very, very, interesting concept here. So I like, when are they actually going to use this cell? Use something a little bit more legit. And they're going to start it. I thought that, a lot of people were saying that they're going to end up throwing someone off the top of the cell. I'm like, they're not going to throw anybody off the top of the cell. That's a little bit too high. I mean, legitimately, if they were to fall, they could have legitimately have a serious injury. So the WWE decided to go with, a halfway drop. And it was probably one of the most, it was probably not, you can't sell it. You could not sell that headbutt from Dean Ambrose to Seth Rollins, because he hits the headbutt, he's still holding on to it, and he just, gave up. Dean Ambrose just gave up. Seth Rollins sold it so perfectly. Dean Ambrose did not. So, that was the only thing that I had a big problem with the matchup, but it was a great hotspot. The WWE has not done anything legit with the Hell in a Cell matchup, in the past couple of years, and for having them to do it, these two crazy, competitive wrestlers in Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, it's just going to take it up to a whole new level. Going down the rest of the matchup, it was all, Dean Ambrose getting that, positive base on Seth Rollins. There were a couple of, table spots with an elbow drop from Dean Ambrose to Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins would end up, doing a powerbomb onto a table to Dean Ambrose, and then pretty much it went down to the wire where, Dean Ambrose got out the cinder blocks, trying to do some sort of move on Seth Rollins and try to end his career. Then all of a sudden, you hear like this weird voice coming out of nowhere, and the entire stadium is blackout. And this was probably, I was like, this is obviously a Bray Wyatt return. You know, we've all been waiting on when Bray Wyatt is going to return. I thought he was going to end up returning as Survivor Series. I think that was going to be the right time. I don't know if he was actually out with injury or they're just holding him out. The Wyatt family is obviously going to be broken up. They're going to be going in their own separate directions. I think that's going to be pretty interesting. I still love the Wyatt family. Bray Wyatt, you know, a.k.a. Husky Harris. You know, this was a great transformation for him, getting a lot of, you know, recognition for his, you know, role as Bray Wyatt. And I cannot wait. You know, you have two legitimate, you know, psycho guys, you know, Dean Ambrose and Bray Wyatt battling out with each other. Seth Rollins ended up defeating Dean Ambrose via, you know, the Sister Abigail finisher by Bray Wyatt, and that pretty much ended the entire event with, you know, Bray Wyatt, you know, kneeling down, looking down at Dean Ambrose, and, you know, he did another finisher move there, and that pretty much, you know, did it in. I love the pay-per-view. You know, I didn't really love it. You know, there was a couple of, you know, disappointments, obviously, but, you know, this was a pretty interesting pay-per-view. I thought it was pretty good. I give it about a C rating, a low C, mid-C, somewhere around that area. I think it could have improved a little bit, but this was a much improvement than last year. If people who rate this, you know, a D or an F, disappointment to you. There were a lot of great matches. The Dolph Ziggler-Cesaro matchup. I really like this, you know, obviously the Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose matchup. If you want to see some comedy, you got that in that Sheamus and Miz. If you want to see, you know, a quick matchup with a lot of screaming in it, Nikki Bella and Brie Bella is for you. So, you know, let me hear your guys' opinion about this. The WWE Hell in a Cell 2014 is now complete. We are now on to the road to Survivor Series. My name is Justin Godsey for Justin Godsey TV. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys next time.